Everybody, welcome back to the Jersey Buzz. And today is going to be a really fun conversation because my guest has a lot of magic and intuition. And I don't know, welcome.
Thank you.
I know.
You
She's
don't
like,
know?
what? I know. I don't know how to explain because you do so many amazing things. You're an energy healer, medium, you have a podcast, you got a show, you have a book. That's a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
And I love talking about energy because I don't know, from the pandemic, kind of fell into learning about angels and kind of, I guess, to keep my sanity, so if you will. And I had some really cool experiences that really proved to me that we're not here alone on the planet.
No.
We have guides and we have people who are here helping us. We can't see them. So that's why I love talking to people like you, because you're someone who can help someone get to that realization, right? So yeah, tell everybody a little bit who you are and what you do.
Well, like you said, I do. I call myself an intuitive healer, and that encompasses a lot of things. But I came up with this word recently, which was illuminator, because that's what I feel like I really do. I help inspire and guide people on their path wherever they are. And sometimes that includes mediumship and doing intuitive readings with people or for people. And sometimes that includes energy work. Sometimes it includes soul retrieval work or other emotional processes to help get them in the place that they want to go. So I do offer a lot of different tools and services, but it's all for the same purpose.
Yeah, your website's really great. In fact, you have classes on there. I'm actually going to take some. I'm deciding which ones to take because I feel like it's kind of it's an inside job journey. And, if people around you are like, how does somebody understand? This is kind of where we want to go with, because I knew my journey, but maybe you can help explain it to someone. What would somebody look for, like feeling lost, or like, what is it how can you help someone? And what are some of the signs that they may want to explore what you do?
Well, I think a lot of people feel broken. They feel stuck. They feel overwhelmed. They feel like they're just on a loop. And those are all really good signs that we need some attention. Mm-hmm. We're never broken. We don't need to be fixed. We're not stuck. We have a feeling within us that is separating us from our higher self and from source. But that doesn't mean that something is wrong. It's our perception of it. So again, there's so many ways to talk about this. Some people feel like they're trapped in their fate, like what life has handed them. And I help them uncover their destiny. Those are two different things. So it really depends on what's going on for a person personally, but it's so easy. In this book, Overcoming Toxic Emotions, I introduced the concept of emotional addiction, and that's what I'm writing on now, because so many people are addicted to lower vibrational frequencies that are attached to their core wounds. And when we're operating from that place, which many of us are, most of us are, unless we're consciously doing our healing work, then we are manifesting, we are attracting, we are experiencing a reality that is very similar in a feeling state. It may look completely differently, but it feels similar to how we felt when we were 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, 10 years old, whenever the discomfort, the patterns and imprints formed for us. And we all have them. Mm-hmm. So my hope and goal is always to help a person transform. I don't work with people who aren't transforming. I don't attract them, and I don't stay with them if I do happen to attract a random one. The transformation process, it's not about getting better or fixing ourselves or somehow, making everything right in our life. It's really learning how to transmute, transform, and transcend from that place of our human perspective, which includes suffering. It always will. So how do we manage that?
So I love, because this is where I remember in my journey, I was like, everything you just said, I was like, what does that even mean? So I'm going to dissect this out a little bit. One of the pasts that I had was from childhood. It was like, I was 13. It was a situation. And, your parents are your parents. They don't know they're doing wrong. They are doing the best that they know how. There's no school for parenting, even today. And years later, it comes out. And it was feeling of worthiness and abandonment. Like I didn't trust anybody. Yeah. And I didn't know why. So that's what you're talking about. Like there's things that you don't even know you're hiding or keep blocking. Because when you're a kid and you feel vulnerable, put it in a little box because nobody's going to make me feel that way.
Mhm.
I don't even remember thinking that until I went through some of that deep dive. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, partly it certainly can be. I mean, that's, would be kind of considered inner child work or the point of trauma for us, which again, we all have to some degree. I've worked with so many clients and they go, well, I had a great childhood and that's great. And still within that, the nuances of how we learned to decipher our worth or our sense of self can be very different depending on all the dynamics at play. Just because you may have had great parents doesn't mean you may not have a shame core wound. That's the most popular core wound amongst us, is that feeling of unworthiness and shame. So yes, we kind of repress those feelings, then we protect them, and then we hide them. And then years later, we feel like we're hiding. We feel like our heart's not open. We're not having the kind of relationships that we want. We're not feeling seen in the world. We're not living our purpose. And we go, what's wrong with me? Something's not jiving.
Mhm.
Well, we don't have to spend too much time there. I think this is going to get me in a lot of trouble. Therapy is beautiful and necessary work for many, many, many people. And also, I get a lot of people that have come from years of therapy and they're like, okay, I get it all, but nothing's changing. This is why, for me, we have to incorporate the energy part of us, the emotional part of us, the physical part of us, and the mental part of us, get them all in agreement, and then make a shift from there. Because even if you just go do energy work, okay, it feels nice. It feels great. It's very relaxing. But what are we really changing? What are we really, making an impact here? Sometimes we can make the greatest changes just with our physical body. It keeps all the information. We know that book, The Body Keeps the Score. It remembers everything. So there's so many possibilities of how to access these points, like your 13-year-old self.
Mm-hmm.
And when I work with a person, or other healers, I guess, work with people, it's kind of like finding the best way in that we can actually touch in without it feeling terrified and triggered, so that we can make change.
Yeah. That's, and it does, because it'll pop up many, many times until you address it.
Yes.
And I went to therapy, speaking of, and I was actually, that's interesting you said that, because, and again, I don't want to say that there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like at a certain level that if it's not working for you, there's a deeper dive, and this is what this is.
Yes.
Right.
We can spend all day understanding something cognitively. Most people want to know why. They want to make rational sense out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that can be helpful. In fact, I'm a storyteller. I'm an author. I write a lot. I do public speaking. I love telling stories. But at a certain point, we just keep kind of rehashing the same stories, trying to rationalize our existence or understand the why. And we come to a place that's like, the why doesn't matter, really. We just want to focus on what's going on within you.
Right.
If I'm just focused on your parents, or I'm focused on the ex, or I'm focused on this event that happened, I'm still not in you. I'm not with you fully, And so we hold that there as information, but we have to get into the feeling body and the energetic body. And that's what terrifies most people. And why does it terrify them? Most people will say, well, I don't want to feel that pain again. That's not the truth. The truth is they're terrified of being free.
Oh, wow. That's, whoa, ding, ding. I'm going to use this. I've been trying to use this forever. Oh, wow. That's huge. They're terrified of being free.
We're more afraid of freedom.
I have chills all over me. That's so true. That's probably my problem too.
Yeah.
Because freedom, okay, why would you be afraid to be free? Why?
Well, multiple reasons. One, I think in the human, there's a sense of we're not going to be tethered to the story or to the parents or to the pattern or to the addiction or to the whatever that identifies us. So there's an ego death there that kind of happens, right? But also, it's just like anything of the unknown. If we don't explore in a safe way what the soul is, what energy is, what spirit is, what is beyond us, then it becomes this like almost like a black hole. It's terrifying. It's like, I don't want to go there. But yet we all say we want to go there. But people who are talking about the spiritual journey or consciousness or what have you, we act like we have faith and trust and believe, and we're all connected and all these beautiful things happen in the ethos, but we don't really believe it, So there's a real kind of comfort and safety in feeling stuck and feeling small and using our stories to keep us limited so that we don't have to be in that beautiful, open, terrifyingly vulnerable heart space of connectivity to each other, to ourselves, to God, to everything. Because if we're there, we're just absolutely free. People don't want to give that away. There's a sense that they're going to lose themselves, but it's the opposite.
It's the opposite. Yeah. Oh, wow. That was that. Okay. You got me there. I will say, because if you think about it, we've been trained, conditioned to feel that you got to do this for this. If you do that, that happens. And that's really not the truth. Love is love.
Yes. That fear of loving and then being hurt. It's that back to that point of pain and love coexist. The coexistence of these two things, being able to hold that together. That's one of the most mature things we can do as human beings and spiritual beings, is recognize the polarity of those things and that they exist all the time together, always. And the feeling that we're going to get hurt when we love, or when we allow someone to love us, or we love someone else, it's such a selfish kind of regulation that we have, because love is an energy. It is a choice. It's not something that we attain or grab or hold hostage. And when we love freely, there's absolutely no risk of losing, because we're actually gaining, we're expanding, we're offering, we're of service, we're connecting. There's nothing to lose. It's the fear of, I'm not going to have that again. How can you not have the thing that you are again? But we have to recognize our connection and discover that part of ourselves again. You never can lose it. You may miss the person who passed away, or feel angry at the person who made a different choice, or it may trigger some of your old self-worth issues for you. Okay, that's just information. I still have some work to do.
Yeah.
Because I love.
Yeah. And that is such a great segue into, so you have a podcast.
Yeah.
And you came on and we're talking about things that need to go in 2025. And so I'm going to say two things here, because I think they're interconnected. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll learn something new. But life is a mirror. And it's funny, like most people look in a mirror, like they don't even like people are like, oh, your podcast is recorded. Oh, I don't want to look at myself. I'm like, but we all are looking at you. So people in your life are a reflection of, so that's a way to use the trigger. But then the other thing is the victim. So what is because those are signs. Those are like, I learned that if something's bugging you, someone annoys you, better look inside. That's something you need to work on or take a look at. So can you explain that a little bit on?
Yeah, about being a victim, right?
Yeah.
So a few things. One, when we're a victim, then we get to allow someone else to always be wrong. And I know that that's kind of the definition of victim, but if you think about that emotionally, it's a way of deflecting, of seeing ourselves or being accountable. So one of the things I said was in for 2025 is self-responsibility, right? Being a victim is one of the lowest vibrations that we can have. It's rampant in our society.
I know.
Probably more so now than in a
Isn't
long
it crazy?
time. It seems like it, but I think we're coming out of that because there is so much now. And before I recorded that many, many months ago, since then I've started hearing so many people talking about
I'm done with this.
the victim, right?
Yeah.
When you're focused on the other, you cannot focus on making any kind of accommodations or acceptance or change or whatever inside of yourself. It's just impossible. And that's why people do it. That deflection, it keeps them in this supposed safe bubble and lets them have a place to put their blame and their energy. And that's what people aren't really understanding. If I'm holding a victim mentality, I have disempowered my strength 90% because I've given it to you, or it's held over here. I went through a sexual assault or rape when I was young, like in my early 20s. And, it was devastating. I wanted to kill myself. I was so depressed. It was just an upending life event, obviously. And as I started my healing through that, a few years into it, I started doing a lot of TV work. And people would ask me, how did you heal? What did you do? And my answer is always the same. I started healing when I stopped looking at him. It doesn't even matter. Of course it does. That's the why, right? It does for some reason for us, for cognitive understanding. But if I have my energy with him and wanting him to get justice, wanting him to do this, hating him, blaming him, da 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 da, da, no energy is going to me. Nothing.
Hmm.
So I stopped. I don't care. That's not my responsibility. And yes, it happened. Unfortunate. I don't know. Was it? It's been my biggest teacher. So is it unfortunate? You know,
Right.
and I don't want to make light of all of our traumas and so forth. But for me, it was the thing that actually led me on the path to serving people for the next 30 years. The moment I just started focusing on what do I need today? How do I feel today? What is coming up for me? What are my fears? What are my insecurities? Where am I judging other people and judging myself? Where's my critic? All the shadow stuff about myself. How can I just nurture myself today to get out of bed and want to go do something to connect with someone else? That's how I started healing. It had nothing to do with healing a rape or healing from the injustice or healing from the perpetrator. It had to do with healing myself.
Yeah.
And now I'm not a victim. It's not, the energy isn't there.
Wow, that was a really good example, because that's about one of the strongest examples that one could go through is somebody violating your space, your body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wow. So this was your path for sure.
Yeah.
And so for people who don't understand, like, intuitive medium, what's that? Like, what do you do with that?
Well, I offer intuitive readings, and they're not all mediumship readings, but many people want that. So
Okay.
it's basically I tap into your field and then your timeline, depending on what kind of work we're doing. Because in my soul retrieval work and energy, all of it, I do the same kind of process. And then I help a person see their highest and best choices, decisions, locations, where they need to put their energy, things they're focusing on, what have you. The mediumship part is about speaking to people on the other side. And a lot of people have, these ideas that that's just non-existent. And to be honest with you, I may just be ESPing into your brain and your memory field, maybe so. But I've done it enough now that I have a pretty clear sense of this other space and dimension and time. And so I can't force any of it to happen, but if I'm reading for a person with an open heart and a willingness and that purity of them, I usually can connect with their parents, their siblings, aunts, uncles, brothers, dogs, whomever. And just to get evidential confirmation or validation, it's a very, very healing process for people. I just did a reading for a client a couple of days ago. Her brother died a year ago. She's thinking she's seeing signs. And just through our time together, he was able to speak to her. I always get emotional because it's the most beautiful work that I do.
Yeah.
It's a vibration and a space that is nothing but pure light and love. I'm not a medium or intuitive psychic that it does spells and witchcraft. I don't believe in all that. That is about fear and control and power over people. But this work, it's just remarkably beautiful and a healing. And so she had a profound experience, as most people do. Sometimes it's really fun, Sometimes people on the other side will give us little hints and silly reminders or memories or things to do that I have no idea about. So it can be really fun too.
Yeah. When did you tune into that you could do that?
Well, I was always an intuitive person. I think most children have more of a clarity about that, right? But actually, after that rape incident and some other things that were going on in my life, I was on my knees, like, what the hell do I do next? And a friend of mine introduced me to the school in San Diego. It's not there any longer, but it was the School of Enlightenment and Healing. And so I would commute from Kentucky to San Diego for a week every month. I was 24 years old, maybe 25. And it was a place that gave me the container to not only learn about energy work and the mind and the body and how they work together, but we also did a lot of meditation and we did a lot of channeling. So I really started channeling there as a practice, as an intentional practice. And since then, I've just been honing it and
It's your gift.
offering people. Yeah.
Yeah. No, because I have a lot of friends. I love talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
And I have friends who can channel and can see, but they're denying that gift and they're turning it out. And, it could be, what would you say to somebody who to embrace it versus block it and be fearful of it? I don't know if it's past life stuff that they happened or.
Well, first of all, I want to say, it is a gift for sure. Like everything else in our life is a gift, but I think everyone has access to it if we choose.
Okay.
Honestly, I would say I can't say in clear consciousness that everyone should just go full throttle because it's an intense experience. And if you're not healthy enough inside or grounded enough in your life or trusting enough or whatever, or have mental health issues or in certain places of your life, I don't recommend it for people because even for myself, like I'm very intuitive for my own life, but there's many days and times where I wouldn't trust myself as far as I could throw a penny across the room. It's like, no. So I get assistance and support too. So it's not for everyone, okay. And yet I think everyone has the ability.
The ability. Yeah, I think we do. We just don't tune into it. Yeah. And or maybe for a reason in this lifetime, that's not what you're here to do.
That could be possible, and a lot of people think of it as like the sixth sense or the extra sense. It's really, to me, our primary sense. We're always doing it. We're feeling each other right now and communicating beyond our words, So we're always doing it. And yes, I think for a lot of people, their path and their purpose and their focus here is for something else that I'm not doing what they're doing, so why should they be doing what I'm doing? We all have what we're doing.
We're contributing to the collective.
Yes, exactly.
And we're all connected. And so in your book, what motivated you? Because writing a book's, that's a big deal because it takes time and thought and effort. So tell us about your book.
Well, this is my last book. I have 3 books. This one, all of them I wrote for the same reason, is that in working with clients for 30 years now, almost 30 years, I guess I got tired of hearing the same stuff and saying the same stuff. And I was like, okay, I see a pattern here.
Yeah, right.
And so let me try to distill this into information that other people can use that may not be able to come work with me, And so that's the reason. This book in particular, though, Overcoming Toxic Emotions, this is processes that I've had to apply to my own life, with my own relationships, with my relationship with myself. When I'm the victim, my addiction to loneliness or to lower vibrational feelings, the relationship with my parents, all of that. And so I knew, when I say I knew, just that too is just information to me. I had never, ever, if you'd asked me when I was 35 years old, are you going to write a book? I would said, no way. Like I'm not a writer. I'm not an author. Right. I do media and I do healing work or whatever. But then one day I was at this publicity summit and I met this man who's a literary agent. And I said, I have a book idea. I didn't really. And I pitched him and it didn't get accepted. But through that, this other book came out, and now 3 books later, I'm still writing. So they're all spirit led for me, for others. And
that's exciting.
A good resource. Oops.
I know. So it just goes to show everybody that you have to listen to your intuitive self, like the idea. And so how could somebody tell the difference between an idea and ego? And is there like a situation where, I don't know, like a lot of people have ideas and they don't follow through with them.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, I don't know, someone will think this or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's all really kind of tricky a little bit because I think we do get a lot of ideas. I do too. And sometimes we're picking up ideas in the, just on the consciousness plane, maybe there are ideas that are being sparked or birthed or someone else is really grabbing onto right now. And we may be sensing into that. We can't discount that. I remember I came up, well, I don't want to say I came up with it. I came up with a slogan years ago that Toyota came up with at the same time, and we kind of launched it in the world at the same time. And I was like, oh, and it was, I'll tell you what it was later. But so we have to be aware that we are part of all the information that is available in the world. Personally, though, there's a very simple way that I recommend for people to do this. And it's sitting with the questions for yourself and learning what yes feels like in your body and learning what no feels like in your body.
Mm.
And if you can get quiet enough and just ask yourself, is this the direction that is best for me? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing, what my heart wants to do, what have you? And if you can come to a clear understanding of your own language inside yourself, it's very easy to say, oh, yes, that is, because that feels like the freedom, the peace, the joy, the exhilaration. This way, oh, you know what? That feels kind of lower in my body. It feels a little denser. It feels like there's a lot of questions around that. It feels not as inviting or exciting. So that's a really easy, well, I say it's easy, but you have to first learn what yes and no feels like in your body.
Yeah. Wow. I got all teary-eyed
Mm.
because that's game changing. If you can take the time to, and you know, I have ADHD, so I'm like all over the place half the time,
Mhm.
but that's why I get up super early in the morning. I'm up at like 3 a.m. I was like, what are you, crazy? I'm like, no, because the world is quiet.
Mm.
I feel like I'm more clear. And even then I've been able to, and the sunrises, you're a sunrise girl.
Yes.
And what, you know, for sunrises in the earth, for people who don't understand, because there's a lot of craziness going on, anxiousness, anxiety, there's planetary changes, there's solar flares, there's things happening, and you can't miss it unless you're like not on the media at all. How can people start to look at things a little differently? Because I feel like this is where the victim comes in, where don't give these things power. You know, go outside. Or what advice do you have to someone who's like basically losing their shit?
Yeah. Well, obviously, we are in a completely overwhelming existence now, that we are in an adaptation phase too. So I don't want to place all that as a big negative thing. We have all created this, you know, so we're all part of it, and our bodies and our minds and our energy fields are adapting to it, whether we like it or not. But I would say for all of us, we have to remember that we have the choice and self-responsibility to take care of ourselves. And within that, there is so much that we can do that there's really not an excuse to not be in a healthier, balanced state. Now, the excuse would be, I'm addicted to my phone, or I have I'm overwhelmed at work and I can't, they won't let me have a lunch break. You know, so we find these ways to still kind of be the victim, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But when we remember that we are light bodies, we are energy, that's what we are. We're like batteries. And we're in this humongous place that is charging us all the time, just like it's growing the trees and moving the waters and everything else that's going on. We are part of that whole rhythmic dance. And that our eyeballs and our brains and our skin and all of our senses are being nurtured and fed with everything that we do. And so we can nurture and feed ourselves very simply with the sunrise and the red light and the UV light that we need. We can very easily take ourselves to bed at a gentler hour and get the rest that we need so our bodies can make the melatonin and then the serotonin the next day. We can put our feet on the ground. We can be outside more and breathe fresh air. There's so many things that we can do that are so basic. In fact, when people ask me, what do you do first when you're on a healing journey? My first answer is always, pay attention to your body. We're not going to be perfect. This isn't about judging ourselves. It's, am I balanced right now? What part of me is showing up? Is it my adult self? Is it my inner child self? Is it my scared little 12-year-old self? Whatever. And what does my body need? Am I regulated? Is my blood sugar balanced? Am I hydrated? Am I rested? Do I need to go outside? Do I need to swing on a swing set? What do I need for this vessel? Because this is our biggest distraction. You know, we're talking about 3D and 5D before the show. Like, we are in 3D. And this is our biggest distraction. It's hungry, it's itchy, it's tired, it's sore, it's achy, it's popping. Like, so get this balanced first. And now we can do the other things.
Wow. That is very good advice. It really is, because, and especially as you get older, like the younger generation, you know, I have kids, they're like, and I'm like, no, you start to feel it. But if I eat sugar, it's like murder.
Yeah.
I can't move. So that my body saying you need to take care of yourself. So everything I feel like a lot of people are getting more into the holistic, like eating the year round, like Ayurvedic eating, seasonal
yes.
eating. I think that's great.
But, you know, to your point about the young kids, though, what I want to say is what they've got going really right, especially the generations now, I think, but even in our generation, is having fun. That's part of the balance. If you're not having fun and having joy in your life, you can eat perfectly all day long and still feel like a miserable sack of crap on the couch.
Yep, that's true. Wow. We could talk for days. But so where can people find your information? I know you do retreats, you have classes, you have a podcast. You have a lot of cool stuff going on.
Thanks. Well, my website is leahguy.com, LeahGuy.com. And on social media, it's Leah the Modern Sage. And I'm on Insight Timer. I teach there and have some courses there. And events are on my website. My services are on my website.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I learned a few things, and it was a great conversation. I really appreciate it. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And again, everybody, if you have any of these symptoms and maybe you're just lost or stuck, well, now you know of a resource. And she's local to New Jersey, and just reach out, because supporting local not only is important, but I find it to be even better to speak to somebody in person than, watching the YouTube videos and all that as well. So healing is definitely an energetic thing. So remember to like, share, and send this to somebody who you feel may need this information. And again, thanks for watching The Jersey Buzz. Until next time. To somebody who you feel may need this information. And again, thanks for watching The Jersey Buzz. Until next time.